What's up, my mammals? Yes, I just quoted Sid the Sloth. Am I sorry? Absolutely not. They left without me. Okay, I won't, I promise. They do this every year. Okay, I'm done. Doesn't anyone love me? Isn't there anyone who cares about Sid the Sloth? Alright. Sid will come into play later. I'll save you guys my lisp. Welcome to Sorry I Can't. I'm grounded. It's me, Abby, your host, and I'm ready to put my ass in timeout because it's time to dedicate the next, probably not quite an hour, next however long the episode is, to becoming the best versions of ourselves. Who's with me? Alright, episode 1. Honestly, I can't really fathom that I'm actually doing this, but welcome again. I'm so excited I'm here. I'm so excited you're here if you're listening. I'm just beyond grateful for life right now. Today's episode is going to be your run-of-the-mill introduction to me, the show, and what I hope happens from it. Like where we're going. What's it all about? I promise I'll try to keep it entertaining. I mean, I think I'm entertaining. But let's start by taking a deep breath, clearing out your mind, and my God, leave all the bullshit life is serving you out of sight, out of mind for the next hour. Recenter yourself, ground yourself. I mean, fuck, the show is called Sorry I Can't, I'm Grounded. Get grounded. Let's better ourselves. We're committing to learning how to master yourself. Your life is your greatest work of art, a true priceless masterpiece. So, like, why wouldn't you want to discover all of its secrets? You can, so why not? And I mean, a true artist is never satisfied, so don't be satisfied. Always strive to be better, but be okay and grateful for what you have now. Just a thought. It is a beautiful day in Houston, Texas. My Chiefs are playing Monday Night Football, and I'm taking a huge leap of faith. It's been a hell of a day, my dudes. Not too frickin' shabby, Abby. I hate that. No one, please call me that. I was supposed to record this October 1st. I don't know. And what's the date now? The 7th? And now I'm recording and posting. So I experienced a bit of a delay. Some were just, I didn't like the recordings. So, like, my perfectionism getting in the way. It was a little self-doubt getting in the way, a little bit of my health, which I'll kind of go into in a second, getting in the way, and I like analysis paralysis. Yeah, I was stuck in my head. So, I mean, like, I'm still stuck in my head, but I wrote this in my journal, and it kind of like was like, get your ass up and get started. I hope you enjoy. Share your story. The world needs you. Spread your wings. It's time to soar. It's time to turn that pain into power. Black out the distractions. There is nothing anyone can say to me that I haven't already said to myself. Don't let it affect you. Don't let the demons win. If you want it, work for it. The only way you fail is to give up. It's supposed to be fucking hard. Otherwise, it wouldn't be worth it. Keep going. Keep going. My story. I've struggled with mental health for as long as I can remember. I've always been a very in my head kind of person. There's a lot going on up here at all times, and especially when I was younger, like, I had no idea how to control it. The only way I knew how was through doing sports. Exercise was like my only escape. School has always been super easy for me. So the thoughts, like, I was high functioning enough in high school, and I had enough structure that my ADHD didn't like really present itself or even like impede my daily life until I got to college. And that's when I started medications my freshman year of college for anxiety. Even though I went because I couldn't focus. He determined it was anxiety. There was no way that I had ADHD, is what he said. I basically knew that something was wrong my whole life. Like there was some, or I just thought there was something wrong with me. And I always meant it health-wise, but I couldn't describe what I was experiencing because now I know I was born with it. That's my baseline. It was fine. And then, I started actually getting this anxiety because I didn't understand why I couldn't follow through with anything. And I would just beat myself up until I could do it. I never felt good enough. Just like Sid the Sloth. Always like an outsider. And I'm hoping that, through my great migration, I find my Manny and freaking Diego where we all work well together and no one feels like a black sheep, even though they're all so different. They accept each other for their differences. I just always felt different and I felt excluded from the club. And I just was never good enough. Flash forward, I just couldn't wake up. I was the queen of naps in college. And if I missed something, I guarantee you I slept through it. If I wasn't answering, they knew I was asleep. Like my friends knew I was sleeping. I was always sleeping. I don't know how I got anything done or had a life, but I still did because I would beat myself to shit until it was done. And that's just how I lived. I was depressed. I couldn't focus. I wasn't experiencing as much pain. And these like weird, the weird like periods of sleeping and kind of like I would have blackouts in memory sometimes and big emotions, like anytime it was always around big emotions. I realize this now. I didn't realize this back then. But mostly fear, love, uh, like intense attraction, sadness, anger is a big one. But yeah, anytime I would have these like huge emotions, I don't remember anything, and I would just fuck up my life. They thought I was bipolar. Fair assessment. But that was still the same psychiatrist that had dismissed my ADHD, which now that I've found is one of my most debilitating disorders of the alphabet soup of my diagnosis. Had to put on so many masks that I didn't even realize I was doing to function in society because this pain, just overall pain, just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Flash forward, see a new psychiatrist. He determines I have ADHD for sure. He seconds the bipolar diagnosis. And I was just like, okay. And it was mainly because of those blackouts that I was talking about around big emotions. I'm a pretty chill person unless I get those big emotions. High stress is another one that I didn't say. High stress is huge. Where am I at my time? Oh yeah, so then I start nursing school. And I also started an antipsychotic for these supposed blackouts. And I kept telling my psychiatrist, hey, I can't focus. Hey, I can't focus. Hey, I can't focus. This specific antipsychotic Abilify keeps my dopamine. It doesn't let it get high. It keeps it within a threshold. But I'm like, my dopamine was probably down here because I had never been treated for my ADHD. Stimulant medication worked amazing for me. He did give me Adderall, but he was hesitant to increase the Adderall dosage. But compared to how I used to live, it was like putting on glasses. I was like, holy shit, I can actually do things and focus? That's awesome. I don't have all these crazy thoughts going on in my head. On X Games mode, they were just at like 5 miles per hour instead. Highway speed. So he kept upping dosage of lamotrigine and the Abilify until I had absolutely no feelings at all. And I didn't want to those. Also found out that I saw a different provider and she was like, there's no way you have bipolar disorder. And we started what did we start? We did a bunch of medications. We ended up on an OCD diagnosis and the ADHD diagnosis and doing sertraline or Zoloft. So at the beginning, Zoloft was working. I know now that low doses of SSRIs help a lot with narcolepsy, as well as stimulant medication. So things started getting better. Then I got the COVID vaccine booster. I'm not saying anything, just that I got it. And then between the antipsychotics, starting the new medicine, like getting off the antipsychotics, I mean, I cold turkeyed them, which was such a bad idea. I could have died. 40 days of withdrawal. I was throwing up every hour. Like, yeah, I still managed to go to work and go to school and live my life, and no one knew. More masks. I was throwing up, couldn't be in the light, was sleeping more. My personality started changing too. Then this anxiety, things just kept getting worse. And the only thing I knew I had was OCD and ADHD. Like, I had always gone to my physicals and, passed with flying colors. All I knew is I had asthma that was extremely allergy and exercise induced, and I pretty much had outgrown it at that point. Slash wasn't dancing anymore, so like I wasn't working out at that intensity for that long outside in the fall. It was very situational. Yeah, so the psychiatrists were just super booked out, and then there was an Adderall shortage, so like, my meds were so inconsistent, which was only making things worse. My relationship had gotten really toxic. Not talking shit, just saying it got toxic. We weren't good for each other. We were living together, ended up moving when I got so sick that I lost my job. I left nursing school, and yeah, so we moved to KC. That's kind of like a last hope. Didn't work. I moved in with my parents. They were able to get me to see a new psychiatrist. I don't love this man. I love how he practices medicine and psychiatry specifically. He's an awesome dude. Really changed my life simply by having faith in me and telling me that what I was thinking and my thoughts were valid when the whole world was telling me that I was insane and delusional. And yeah, so that was April of 2023. So like a whole year later after withdrawing from the antipsychotics, because I managed to make it through fall break of the next semester of school. I was living with my family again after 7 years of really not. Didn't go great. Obviously, two sides to every story. I played my part just as much as they did. But at the end of the day, I couldn't understand what was going on with me. The doctors were not, at that point, were not really understanding either. They couldn't tell if it was psych or not psych, because I had the psych diagnoses. I was on these psychiatric meds for OCD and ADHD. And then in the end of July, I had this like episode where I couldn't feel my legs for the first time. And then when I was in the car, like everything started locking up, still couldn't feel my legs really. But they really just gave me fluids and steroids. In the ER, they told me it was a virus. Probably they ran tests, sent me on my way. Next day, take an Epsom salt bath. All of a sudden, my skin starts burning. Get out, everything locks up, fall on the tile floor, hit my head. I was there for I don't know how long. Remembered that, like, Hey Siri was a thing. Was able to call my mom. They took me to the ER. They told me, or my mom had to go park the car, and they, took me off in a wheelchair and started me in triage because, like, I was locked. Yeah, it was scary. And I remember what was going on. I just couldn't fucking move or talk, really. I was so sleepy. I felt drunk, but I wasn't. And they accused me of faking it in the ER when I had fallen on the floor out of my wheelchair and I wasn't breathing for the first time. They picked me up. I was able to cough, start breathing again. I still was struggling though because I had fallen forward in the wheelchair. And they didn't move me, and they were just, talking like, she's got to be detoxing, like literally stop faking it, you did it to yourself. I'm like, I can't breathe. They get me in bed, said, stop faking it again. I was really contorted and my airway was closed, like cut off again. And luckily the nurse who had seen me the night before walked by and was like, what is going on? And they had called a code blue, and she got and picked me up, and I was able to cough. They were like, she's not cooperating. I was like, my jaw was locked. I couldn't talk, couldn't communicate. But if you ask me yes or no questions, I was being responsive. The whole thing was stupid. They tried to give me Haldol. I roasted the doctor, going to nursing school. I was like, please tell me, without using the word anxiety, why you're giving me Haldol. She goes, I can't. I said, I don't want it. No, thank you. I'm not anxious, and I should be, because I just stopped breathing, and y'all told me I was faking it. Shut her up pretty quick, and I left. So then after that, I start just researching shit, because I knew it had to be something like kind of autoimmune or rheumatological because of my symptoms. And then I found Addison's disease, which is primary adrenal insufficiency, meaning that your adrenal glands don't produce cortisol at all, which is your stress hormone. It's what regulates your stress levels in your body. Super important. It affects so much. I think it's safe to say, and the endocrinologist I saw said it was also safe to say, that I was in adrenal crisis. Wasn't Addison's disease. I went to the rheumatologist. They couldn't find anything other than an extreme vitamin D deficiency, sign number 1. And then he had me do what's called the Baton scale, which is seeing if you're hypermobile, touching your thumb to your wrist. I can't exactly remember the other ones. Oh my gosh, Lexi would be my friend who's a physical therapist would be mad. I also majored in exercise science. It's been a few years. Give me some soul. Yeah. So in the middle of all of that is when I got kicked out as well. So it increased my stress even more. I was on steroids because we kind of like, I went into adrenal crisis, and I had weird skin stuff going on, and the joint pain, and just all of this random pain that I could not explain. Little did I know that pain was nerve pain. I can't describe nerve pain, and I don't think anyone would understand if I did unless they've had it. It's miserable. That's where all the anxiety came from. I was so restless because of this nerve pain. In December of 2023, I had something kind of seizure-like happen. My mom took me to KU Med. It was right after, huge fight, big emotions again. And then we went to KU Med, ran a bunch of tests. They did an EEG, kept me there probably for way too long. I think I did $76,000 in tests to tell me that you have a disorder where it's a neurological problem, but we don't know what's causing it. It's a software problem. There's nothing wrong with your hardware, is how they explained it. In the hospital, they were treating me for migraines. Migraines are one of the most common causes of functional neurological disorder. And guess what? Chronic pain, usually from Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Between then and April, I can't really remember when, my dad finally talked to his sister, who also has EDS. EDS is a genetic connective tissue disorder. It's a mutation in the genes that make collagen. So there's a bunch of different types. Our collagen isn't good. So all of our connective tissue is super elastic, which makes it not function great. We're super hypermobile, or at least the type I have is hypermobile. So, which is the only one that they don't know the gene that causes it. So hypermobile, they suffer from a lot of joint dislocations and subluxations. Lifestyle, again, plays a huge part in it, and other genetics. You're not supposed to do super high impact sports with EDS. And I mean, I did. So I'm sure the joint stuff is a lot worse, and that's why I'm so young and all this is happening. And just, life. Can't compare situations, but it sucks that mine happened at this period in my life. I went to see a sleep doctor. He said that there was too much going on to where a sleep study would show us that I have narcolepsy, but he suspected it. So putting all of those together, I was starting to get a better picture and a better handle on my symptoms. I started duloxetine or Cymbalta. Depression hurts. Cymbalta can help, but it also is extremely beneficial for nerve pain. Fun fact. Yeah, started that. My pain started going down. My aunt was like slowly teaching me like little tips and tricks that she had learned. And after I saw the neurologist at KU, that man gave me hope again. And I decided to move to Houston. And I actually slowly but surely started healing. And I was learning my symptoms. Like, oh, if I get to this level of pain, the neurological stuff starts to happen. And then if I get even more, if I don't keep stop, and then I get a big emotion, that's when the narcolepsy stuff happens. It is what it is. Anyways, I'm here. That's my story. Kind of short, kind of long version. Yeah. So let's wrap this up. Goals for myself. I have been such a goddamn recluse, and I'm tired of it. I'm also tired of being small. I've been making myself small for so long that, like, me coming on here, even just socializing with people, and I don't feel like myself. I know I'll get there. And I know the discomfort means that I'm growing, which is great. I need to not be a hermit, because I'm not, like, that's kind of the missing piece, is like, I have no one but my dogs to live for right now. And myself. I will never give up on myself. That's goals for the podcast, kind of where we're going. I just want to have intellectual, impactful, entertaining conversations about specifically brain health, but just health in general and how to better yourself. I just want to spend an hour talking about how do I take the next right step in my life. I think it could be fun. Another goal, I want to be a mini Mel Robbins, and I want her on my podcast, or I want to be on her. Jizu inspired me to just freaking do it. Fuck it. Do it. I now live in the medical capital of the US, which is part of the reason I moved here, was to get better treatment for the EDS. So I would love for this podcast to get big enough to where I could have some of these impressive, talented, intellectual, groundbreaking doctors that are here in Houston answer some of the damn questions I have. Because it takes so long to get into the doctor. And half the time, the appointment's so short, you can't even ask all your questions. So, for myself, I would like some answers, but also through this journey, I've kind of found a knack for neuromuscular psychology, is what I'm going to call it, which is where Dr. Wendy Suzuki comes in. She's not in Houston, but I think my goal in life, I know I'm supposed to go back to school, and I can't right now because of finances. All I want to do is go back to school. I can't do nursing anymore. I've accepted that. It's just too much on my feet, too stressful of a job. But Dr. Wendy Suzuki is a neuroscientist who studies specifically brain plasticity, but like she also studies movement, exercise, how it affects the brain. I want to study specifically so when these muscles are tight or not strong enough, or, if I contract this muscle, how does that affect my behavior? Like if this in your neck is super tight, or just some of these common postural imbalances that we have because we're always crunched like this as a society are impacting how we function and just kind of and behave. And I think, these are theories. I would love to do more research into it, but how the hydration level of our fascia affects nerve conduction rates in motor cells. Also, how, posture and how you walk and move. So I guess kinesiology. How kinesiology relates to behavior. Like, if I'm sad, can I move some certain muscles and trick my brain into not being sad anymore? I wonder. Moral of the story, I need to study her brain. I need her to teach me. Be my professor. And then have a blast and make lifelong connections. I want a supportive community of like-minded individuals just ready to freaking learn. And have this just be a clean slate, fresh start. That's why this episode's called The Fool. Sorry for all you tarot haters, but I think it's cool. All right, I talked a lot. Surprise. Anyways, thank you. I have a Chiefs game to watch. Yeah, okay, sorry. I'll see you guys on Friday for the next episode. Thank you, thank you, thank you for listening. Here comes the sun, little darlings. Bye.